समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या समझ में नहीं आया?
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
आप समझा?
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Sonam Wangchuk's wife, Gitanjali Angmo, has petitioned the Supreme Court challenging why Sonam Wangchuk was arrested under the NSA and also filing a habeas corpus petition saying that she should be allowed to know his exact whereabouts. The arrest of climate activist Sonam Wangchuk is only one contentious development in the troubled week that Ladakh has witnessed. 4 people have been killed, 80 injured. And among the 4 killed is a Kargil war veteran whose father too served alongside him in Kargil with courage. The people of Ladakh have often been the first line of defense in protecting India. And today they are upset and anguished that some are calling them anti-national. Sonam Wangchuk has been accused by agencies of being linked in some ways to Pakistan. His wife denies this. She says in the past, Sonam Wangchuk has built shelters for the Indian army and also called for a boycott of Chinese goods. To call him anti-national, she argues, is a travesty. Talks that were meant to take place between the high-powered committee and the government have now been stalled. It is a matter of great concern as to what will happen in Ladakh next. The people of Ladakh have been demanding the 6th schedule. This is a provision in the Indian constitution that allows for autonomous governance in certain tribal districts. And the people of Ladakh have been asking for it for their region as well. As I said, talks were meant to take place with the government, but because of the turmoil and strife, those talks have not taken place yet. What next for Ladakh? How do we understand what is happening there and why it's happening? I want to welcome 3 very important voices in this conversation. Sajjad Kargili is with us. He is, of course, from the region of Kargil, as his name suggests, but he is also a member of the high-powered committee that has been representing the people of Ladakh in their talks and their dialogue with the government. So, welcome Sajjad Saab to the program.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Also joining me is Lieutenant General Pannu. General Pannu has been Corps Commander in the region. He knows Ladakh like the back of his hand. He also knows how valuable and invaluable the service of the Ladakhi people has been in the Indian army and also as the eyes and ears often of the army in the high reaches of the Himalayas. Welcome, sir, to the program. And
Thank
also
you,
joining us is Ambassador Stobdan. He is, of course, a critical and distinguished voice out of Ladakh, and he's going to help us put this entire conflict into perspective. I'll start with you, Sajjad Saab. Talks होने थे 3rd October को, अब नहीं हो रहे. How do you sort of see when talks may resume? Or talks resume करने के लिए what is being asked for? What is being demanded?
Thank you, ma'am, for having me in this show. Basically, we are demanding, we are not against the talks, against the dialogue. We are very much eager to have these dialogues with the MHA very, very early. Like last time we met with Honorable Union Home Minister on May 27, and Honorable Union Home Minister has promised, he has assured us that the talks will resume. The next round of talks will held within 1 month. But it takes time. For last almost 3 months, we were waiting for the dates. Suddenly, on 24, this situation has erupted. Now we want to have dialogue, but in a dignified manner. And also, the government should create a conducive atmosphere so that we should go for dialogue. It should not have been happened that we go for dialogue in a time when people are waiting for justice. We are demanding judicial probe what has happened in Leh, and also compensation and relief medical assistance for those who injured and those who have been died. Also, we are demanding to bring all those, drop all the charges unconditionally from those people who have been arrested, including Sonam Wangchuk ji. Then we can say that we can go for talks with clear mind and heart, and we can have some productive and fruitful dialogue with the government.
So let me
So-
ask you, Sajjad Saab, are you saying the release of Sonam Wangchuk, who's been arrested under the NSA, the National Security Act, is that a precondition that the high-powered committee is putting for talks? Is that a precondition?
Both apex body and KDA have demanded from the government that they should at least initiate judicial probe and release all those who have been arrested and drop all the charges unconditionally from them. At least government should initiate judicial probe in first instance, and also they can provide medical assistance and compensation to those who have been killed and injured in Leh. So
Okay.
also the government should be held accountable, because we have been told 1 month ago that the CRP have been deployed in Leh and Kargil for security reasons, and then after the police authorities have said in a press conference that they had intel for this kind of situation. So what was the failure that has not prevented this situation to happen? So
Okay.
for that
Okay.
reason,
Yeah.
there should be a high-level impartial inquiry. Only judicial inquiry cannot hold accountable the UT administration. So that's why we are demanding for that.
Okay, let me open this up now and get Ambassador P. Stobdan in. You are one of the most distinguished voices from Ladakh, sir. How do you explain to the rest of the people, before we come to the specifics of Sonam Wangchuk, how did the protest turn violent, who's responsible for it? These images have been heartbreaking. In particular, among the 4 killed has been a soldier who served with valor in the Kargil war, and his father served alongside him. His father is also a soldier. So these are 2 soldiers of the military. And, and then you see what's happened. How do you what is your overview of what has happened, Ambassador?
Barkha, I think, number one, I don't speak for Ladakh like Mr. Sajjad is doing.
Yeah.
I am an independent person from Delhi. Okay,
Okay.
I was born in Ladakh. That's it. You know me
Yes.
well.
Yes.
So, my understanding of the situation is that the movement has been quite peaceful. And for a very long time, 2, 3 years, 4 years. It appears that, okay, Mr. Wangchuk has dramatized the whole thing a little bit, a very theatrical way. So got the attention of everybody. But largely, I think the people who are involved were not like that. They were largely peaceful. Possibly somebody has tried to derail it or hijack the whole event. That's why people are talking about foreign hands, this hand. And my own understanding as a student of security is that this comes immediately after Prime Minister visit to Tianjin. So possibly there are some forces who is not willing to have this thaw in India-China relationship. So all the border areas have been now put on fire, whether it is Nepal or Ladakh. There is this angle which perhaps Mr. Wangchuk should have been careful about, who all might try to disrupt his peaceful protest. So I see certain imprints here. People are talking about Pakistani angle, this angle or that angle. There is nothing to substantiate that. But whole thing is about perception management. Mr. Wangchuk himself has released a video that he does not welcome India-China relationship. Now, on why he says that, I don't know, but somebody played some mischief here. And I strongly believe that if at all the external hands are there, then these elements are very, very, very active here. Because today Leh has, at a time, so many nationals presence in Leh city in the name of tourism, but possibly in the name of NGO activities. So there is this angle. I don't wish to comment because, in Ladakhi culture, we don't criticize each other, whatever that issue may be. We respect each other's viewpoint. He has an opinion, I have an opinion, but there is a larger cause which I stand by. But Mr. Wangchuk has some very special, interest in this. I have no idea because he's my neighbor, so I can't really talk too much about him. He's my neighbor here in Ladakh. So I think, that Pakistani angle which I see has not been brought properly. The police has not even made it a sort of a public issue. It happened some months ago when one fellow was caught, was in contact with PIO, but police has not given any press release on that. So media has no details about this Pakistani connection. But yes, apparently the police has caught somebody and he's on bail now.
Can I ask you a follow-up before I go to the general? I managed to interview Wangchuk just hours before he was arrested, and he said something very interesting to me, Ambassador. He said, Gen Z has rejected me. He's saying about himself that Gen Z protesters have rejected me. I kept asking for the protest to remain non-violent, but people didn't listen to me. They told me nobody's going to hear our voices if we remain non-violent. And he said he was being made a scapegoat. So my question to you is, do you think, whatever your differences may be of opinion with him, do you believe he should have been arrested under the NSA?
No. He's not an anti-national that I can watch. He is not an anti-national. He may have some problem with the government. That may be okay. You can be anti-government or whichever government. He was even accused during the Congress period also. So there is no factual thing that, he should have been a little bit more careful that somebody might hijack his cause. And that is what happened. It suddenly happened. That's why people are asking for judicial probe. And I think the government must have done on the basis of some facts. I don't know what are the facts the government has. It may be tweet, it may be some video, it may be something he has uttered here and there, which I don't know. I'm not a part of the system now anymore.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But it's all about perception management.
Okay.
You can ignore in UP, you can ignore or say something in UP, nobody will bother. But you say something in Ladakh, it will raise eyebrows. And you should be aware about it, especially about national security issues. It's a very sensitive, India is a very emotional country. People opinion do matter.
Yeah. Let me bring in General Pannu now, and then we'll go back to Sajjad Kargili on who he blames for the protests turning violent. I want to talk about national security. I want to talk about the sensitivity of Ladakh. I want to talk about the fact that there are thousands of Indian troops eyeball to eyeball with the Chinese, even at this moment when India has begun some sort of cautious reconciliation or rapprochement process with China after Galwan. But status quo ante is not back fully. General Pannu, when you look at what's happening in Ladakh, what concerns you the most? You've been Corps Commander there. What would you say, sir?
Barkha, it goes without saying that today Ladakh is the most sensitive territory of our country. It has Siachen Glacier in it. People know what Siachen Glacier is. It has Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, Gilgit-Baltistan just on the other side towards the north and the west. It has got eastern Ladakh. The LAC dispute is known to everybody. And it has been going on for the last 5 years and it is not yet settled. There are Pakistani troops and there are Chinese troops on both sides. And Siachen has been always a part of the contest. And you yourself know Kargil very well.
Yes, sir.
That when in 1999, Kargil war happened, it is people of Kargil, the locals, who actually were spearheading a lot of support to the army, right from eyes and ears to initial information, to confirmation, and so on and so forth. Whatever happens in Ladakh will always be taken advantage of by the outside forces. Imagine from Pakistan perspective, when you look at Gilgit-Baltistan or Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, you say anything, well, people will look and say, hey, listen, what is happening across? When you look at accusation and want to deal with China on the people, they would say, listen, this is your own area, which is not stable and it is not yours because, after all, the territory is disputed. So therefore, the perception of a disputed territory, and then there is an internal dispute, will always be played by people, which will be completely detrimental to Indian interests. So therefore, it cannot be taken as an ordinary place where any internal problem would not have the ripples transcending across the borders. And today is the information era. And information means disinformation. It means psychological operations. It talks about shaping perceptions and information warfare. Everything can get twisted. You know, see, today the social media is such that fakes and deep fakes can twist any statement to look in a certain way, which will be completely detrimental or favorable to a party who wants to shape a perception in a particular way. But having said that, the sensitivity is borne by the historical fact that every war that India has fought, and I say every war that India has fought, was also fought in Ladakh. Right from 47 to 48, then, you know, 65, 71, you talk about China, 62, you talk about Galwan, and then Kargil is, of course, known to everybody. And therefore, when you are talking about a territory which has a huge border, approximately, say, 400 to 500 kilometers on the west and north, and approximately 800 to 900 kilometers towards the east, you know, this is the kind of boundary. Look at the terrain, Barkha. Across the Excitation, you have Kunlun Mountains, then you have Karakoram Range closer, basically along which the LAC rests. Then you have Ladakh Range, which actually dislocates the territory. You have to go across Ladakh Range to get into certain areas of DSDBO. Then there's a strategic road there. You have to cross Ladakh Range to go to Siachen Glacier. Between the Ladakh and the Zanskar ranges flows the Indus water. And then Indus Water Treaty is people all referring to the maps that, you know, what Indus river are you talking about? Then you have the Nubra, you know, going in and then joining the Indus, forming part of larger Indus water confluence, which gets created and has become very politically referenced these days.
Yeah.
So as a result, population of Ladakh who have generally served the Indian interest, who have been largely Buddhists or Shia Muslims. I would not go into too much of religion, but the point is that religiously and culturally, they have always felt isolated. They have never been into a political mainstream. Always they felt that the outsiders control them, yet they give more to the outsiders and the outsiders come and give it to them. So I think the short-changed environment, which over a period of time has gone into their getting into some kind of a protective activities, including of the climate and weather.
Yeah.
So when you look at Sonam Wangchuk, you know, he was initially known to do certain experiments and innovations, and then he created something like a snow pyramid, which was a spectacle, international spectacle for people to watch. That how can you, out of nowhere, build such mountains of snow and ice and becomes a reservoir.
Yeah.
He also has been encouraging students to do certain, you know, studies there in innovations. And I think a lot of work was done by him. But suddenly, from his being a person who's educated and an educator, an innovator and a very sincere person, suddenly, when the statehood of J&K got converted into UT, I think it's my perception. I don't know whether the perception is correct or not, that the J&K state had Ladakh as one of its regions. The moment the UT status came in, I think the initial feeling was that, hey, now we are equal.
Yeah.
We are not under the J&K. We are equal. We are Ladakh. So J&K and Ladakh are on equal footing. Over a period of time, I suppose political aspirations and people who feel that there's a very large footfall of tourists who come there. Almost 5 lakh tourists have visited there. And I think 30% increase year on year has been happening. Infrastructure being available, not being available. But what is important is that our citizens moving forward into these areas of Eastern Ladakh as the first village representatives of a country,
Yeah.
both sides, right up to Siachen Glacier and very difficult high mountain ranges of Kargil, and also very, very tough conditions in the eastern Ladakh. I think they are the ones who become the representatives of Ladakh people, and they contribute to soldierly, profession.
Which is why, I want to just intervene there briefly, General Pannu. I was remembering that when Galwan happened, I went to Ladakh, and Ladakhis who had retired from the military, they were saying, sign us up. We are ready to volunteer again. We are ready to come back and defend our country. And that's the Ladakhi spirit that I have always seen and known. I always say it's a very special combination of very gentle people who are very fierce and brave also when required. I want to take what you said just now. It's a really important thing you said. You said every war that India has fought has also been fought in Ladakh. Now, Sajjad Kargili, I want you to respond. You said that you cannot have talks in an environment which doesn't feel just. You want those who've been arrested to be released. You want Sonam Wangchuk to be released. You heard what Ambassador Stobdan said, that maybe he doesn't think Sonam Wangchuk was an anti-national, but he feels that maybe his movement got hijacked. When I was interviewing Sonam, he told me, Gen Z has rejected me. Who do you blame for the violence, for the protests turning violent?
I think the security failure and the UT administration's failure is main cause of this entire violence. Because a month ago, on 1st September, both Apex Body and KDA asked a question to the Union Territory Administration that why this huge deployment in both Leh and Kargil is happening. The Union Territory Administration then replied us through a press conference. Officially, they have replied that for considering this law and order situation and the current situation which is emerging, we have decided to deploy these CRPF battalions in both Leh and Kargil. Later on, after these clashes, DGP Saib has said during a press conference that we had intel about such kind of a situation will happen. So our point is on 23rd September, when Apex Body Youth has announced it, officially they have announced it, that we are going to have Leh Ban tomorrow. They should have been taken some primitive measures protecting protesters to come out. They should at least arrange educate security forces at the ancient site.
But who do you blame, Sajjad Saab? Who do you blame for setting a local political office? The BJP office was set on fire. Among the 80 injured, I believe, are 40 policemen, right? We have to also have a full perspective of what has happened. Who is responsible for this?
For that truth has to come out, we are demanding judicial probe, impartial judicial probe. That judicial probe can only bring the truth in front of the people, and we are not supporting that violence too. We are just we have rejected that, we have condemned it. Even Sonam Wangchuk during that only day, he has also condemned the violence has took place, and that's why we are demanding judicial probe should be happen, and government should understand the sensitivity of the region, and they should act with wisdom and engage people. And try to hold dialogue with the people and try to address the aspirations of the people. Barkha ma'am, you should. I want to tell you and your viewers that for last 6 years, government has failed to provide a single gazetted job for Ladakhis. They have failed to provide a public service commission, a single job through public service commission in Ladakh. So what they are expecting? For 400 posts, for 5,500 posts, 47,000 people are aspirants are applying for those jobs. So you can understand the level of, this is not only the level of unemployment, this is the level of frustration the youths have. Their aspirations have not met yet. So these issues should be addressed. And who will address these issues? The UT administration, the LG administration, who are busy in organizing festivals in Zanskar, Dras, Nubra, everywhere. Our UT has become an event management UT. They should do some some groundwork to address the local grievances of the local people. That's why people are very much angry today.
That's a very powerful idea that, festivals hote hain, bahar ke log aate hain, but what about the aspirations of the local population? Ambassador Stobdan, I want you to come in. I think it's very important for us to explain to our larger audience who only know Ladakh through the lens of tourism. Everybody who can afford it has gone on a holiday to Ladakh. But the sixth schedule, what is this sixth schedule? It is a feature of our Indian constitution. It offers autonomous administration to tribal areas. Talk a little bit about that and whether you agree with the demand or not.
I don't think Ladakhis have got a political cause. It's not like Kashmir kind of situation.
Of course.
People are asking. Yes, it's not like even Punjab type of thing.
Of course.
They have simply one administrative demand. Okay, there is a difference between demand and a cause.
Yeah.
Cause is much larger. So this demand has been now very specific demand, and that's one of the problem. Now, government is not explaining to the people why they can't give this specific, fulfill this specific demand of sixth schedule to Ladakh. They should explain it. Frankly, I can understand why can't government give, but people at large cannot understand what is sixth schedule and why it cannot be given to Ladakh. Because I believe this sixth schedule comes under, 224 article of the Indian Constitution, which is given to tribal areas. And Ladakh has not been declared as a tribal area. It's a scheduled, it's a scheduled tribe area. That's different. That comes under fifth schedule, but not under sixth schedule. Sixth schedule is given to only 10 districts in India with specific anthropological background. I cannot elaborate more than that. It's not a constitutional problem. It's not a political problem. It could be even scientific problem of how to identify me as a Mr. Stobdan as a tribal. Barkha has to justify, is Mr. Stobdan a tribal? So there is a huge, I think, perceptional kind of understanding, which is a problem which government should explain. If it is linked with national security, they should explain it. Why it cannot be given. So
But other imaginative solutions can be found, as Sajjad Kargili says.
So they should.
There are young people without, they want to see a future for themselves.
That's why people are not coming out with open solutions or options. There has been no debate. Mr. Sajjad and others talk somewhere, I don't know, under the umbrella of apex body or KDA, but by and large, most of the people are not involved in this. One of the reasons is that stakeholder has now become the agitator, not the larger people. Now, if the agitators are this main stakeholder, government is blank about what others are thinking, then there is a problem. There may be people who are not willing to have a sixth schedule, but that's the whole issue. It's an intellectual debate. There has been no debate.
Often, Ambassador, as you know, and let me take this to the general, things become symbolic. The demand is for something, but the pain is something else. And I think that's what we need to bridge. You hear Sajjad Kargili say, where are our young people going to go? I want General, Pannu to come in here. Sir, you have explained the security importance of Ladakh, but you have not maybe fully elaborated on how brave the Ladakhi people are, how they have served India's national interests, which is why they're especially angry today to hear the phrase anti-national being used in this loose way. I remember another Sonam Wangchuk, who is known as the Lion of Ladakh, Colonel Wangchuk, who also served in Kargil. There is example upon example, and even Ladakhis who have not been in the military have been the eyes and ears. So how do you see the situation, General?
Barkha, everybody understands and knows Colonel Shivang Rinchen. I think the nationalism, bravery, and motivation to the young people to fight for a cause was the beginning in 47-48 itself by a teenager. And I think when you meet the family of Shivang Rinchen, and I've been meeting them quite frequently, he's been decorated with MVC Bar, Sena Medal mentioned in dispatches, and so on and so forth. and he has been a hero worth emulating by the Indian Army. Then, of course, you yourself spoke about Colonel Sonam Wangchuk, MVC again in Kargil, and then, we had Captain Nongrom, 12 Jackalai, 12 Jackalai was one of my battalions in Uri when I was commanding. And then you have Havaldar Ringzen Veer Chakra. One of the main victories came to a Ladakh Scout battalion during Kargil because the terrain was so tough, and these people decided, okay, you don't have to worry. There's no equipment required. We, out of our own, local understanding of how to fight, and they went and climbed certain very, very difficult features. And I think many of them were Ladakhis, either in civil or in military uniform. I think they did extremely well, not only in fighting in later on 65, 71 wars, but I think all over Ladakhis have done exceedingly well. They have a very large community of ex-servicemen. Yes. And the number of Veer Naris, the number of ex-servicemen who've been meeting us, I think they were like a hallmark of nationalism. The vast area, almost 60,000 square kilometers, is not easy area to move around and look at the density of the population. Say about 3 lakhs, the survey was carried out much earlier. But even if we say that, about 1 lakh 50,000 is this side towards Ladakh side, and 1 lakh 50,000, I mean, I'm just generalizing the population. Yeah. Look at the footprint on ground and look at the kind of sacrifice that they have given per square inch or per square kilometer. I think the blood which has been spilled on the soil of Ladakh and India needs a recognition. And I think we need to bow our heads in front of these warriors that they have preserved the entity of Ladakh and also the honor of India, I think, wherever they have gone.
That's very powerfully said, sir. I have goosebumps. I want to ask you all in the end, we have 5 minutes left. What can be done to make things better? I'll start with you, Sajjad Kargili. You have made one point clear, a judicial probe. You must have an independent judicial probe. What will it take you all to return to the dialogue table? What can be done immediately outside of in addition to a judicial probe?
In addition to judicial probe, we are demanding compensation for those who have been killed. Particularly, we have lost one ex-serviceman also. Yes. And also for the medical assistance for those who injured. The government should act with wisdom and sensibility. This is what we want. And the only solution for all this problem is engagement. Engagement with the local stakeholders. I am very much agree with Ambassador Stobdan. He said that whether government is agree or not or disagree with 6th schedule or with our demands, but they should not stop dialogue. They should continue dialogue. They should begin dialogue or time-bound dialogue with the Ladakhi stakeholders as soon as possible to avoid further problem, further trust deficit among the people and between the government and the people.
Ambassador, what's the first step you'd counsel the government to take? I'm so sorry, I can't hear you, Ambassador. Just unmute yourself.
Yeah, they should come out with some options, whether Ladakh can be given some empowerment, in terms of legislature in the Hill Council that we have. This is one option. Second is a Sikkim type of 371A or F, which is also feasible. But I think instead of getting played into the hands of our enemies, somebody is trying to put us against the mainstream Indian society. That is what has happened. I mean, if you're burning BJP's office, not the Congress office, that means it has a specific agenda. I can see the television response, media, how ordinary people are reacting against us, being called as anti-national. Now, since General Pannu has said about all the wars have been fought in Leh, but it's not since 1947. We've been fighting wars for the last 1,000 years. Against the Chinese, against the Tibetans, against the Uyghurs, against the Kashmiris, against so many. So there is an inbuilt statecraft in us. One of the governors, the first governor of Ladakh, Lieutenant Governor Mr. Mathur, showed me a tweet from a Ladakhi that India has no option but to keep us happy. Now, he was aghast with this kind of a tweet. How does this sense of strategic understanding, playing or balancing situation the Ladakhi is aware about it. Now, because of social media, these things are getting articulated more. So that's why don't underestimate. This is not Meerut district. This is Leh Ladakh, formerly a kingdom, a Himalayan kingdom at par with Bhutan and Nepal.
Yeah.
Just because we came under the Dokras at once upon a time, we lost our instinct. No, we haven't lost our instincts. We are very shrewd people. We know how to survive. So I think the government has to be a little bit more sensitive about whatever the people are thinking. You have to have diplomatic approach. You don't have advisors in the government, or somebody comes from outside and start ruling like that is his own fiefdom. That's not done. I think there should be consultation. People should be engaged. This can be resolved.
I think you've said it well. We don't need a sledgehammer right now. I want to give General Pannu the last word. So you said the blood that has been spilt on the Ladakhi soil needs some honor, recognition, acknowledgement from India. What do you think will be a next step towards restoring peace?
Barkha, no citizen of a country, and it goes for Ladakh at the moment, should be actually painted with a broad brush.
Yes.
I think largely you have to understand there are sentiments, and the moment you apply a broad brush, the sentiments universally go down to a point. And therefore, the change of narrative and distortion of narrative takes better of the situation. I think today, largely, whenever a situation erupts, there is always a distorted narrative which gets built. And I think the reaction comes on the distorted version of the narrative rather than on the narrative per se. So therefore, I think somebody needs to run a very positive narrative on Ladakh.
Exactly.
And to make sure that narrative correction is not only applied right now, but I think narrative stability, which is based on ground reality, is extremely important. Like in the army, they say, one is that know your command. You should know your people. And secondly, keep your command informed. Make sure your people are kept fully informed. And one of the American generals had once mentioned, he says that when soldiers stop complaining, it doesn't mean all is well. It means when soldiers are complaining, listen to them. And then you will make sure that you can make it well if it is not appearing to be well. But I think if you move away from the politics of it, I think you should get into the narrative of it. And I think media does a great job in narrative correction. And I think...
Yeah. Well, some of us are trying to do that to remind the rest of our country that please think 1 million times before you use the following 2 words for any of your fellow citizens: anti-national. In particular, in the context of Ladakh, this has been the first line of defense for our country for decades, as you've just heard our guests say. And I think they want to be heard, they want to be acknowledged, they want to be engaged with, and they want to be respected. And yes, something has gone wrong. There has to be accountability for the violence, for the deaths, for the arson. For that, a judicial probe. I think I can't see any problem with a judicial probe. Why not? Let's get to the truth of it. Let there be accountability. But in the meantime, this is a sensitive part of our country. It's our own people. They have always stood first and foremost for India. And I think they deserve at least more attention than they're getting from the rest of us. Thank you so much to General Pannu, to Ambassador Stobdan, and to Sajjad Kargili. Thank you so much. Take care. See you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Barkha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.